Welcome back to the Rich Eisen Show, a friend of the program. I will just call him a friend. I will just call him a friend, not just of the program. Even without this program, I would consider this man a friend. I'm hoping he feels the same. He is Matthew Hasselbeck of the Indianapolis Colts. Matthew, do you feel the same?
Absolutely, Rich. We don't shake hands when we see each other. We hug.
We do. We do that bro hug thing, right?
We do. We do.
Top story, Matthew. On your Twitter feed, I saw it. You got chosen for random HGH testing yesterday. Did that really happen, Matthew?
No, that's not, what really happened is I got chosen for random drug testing, like performance-enhancing drugs, which is like a 5:55 a.m. pee in a cup type deal. And then, whatever. So, hey, it was my turn. Hey, it happened. And then at the end of practice, and it was a scorcher, it was a hot practice, the trainer comes up and he's like, all right, and you got a 20% chance. He's like, all right, the following people have been chosen for HGH testing, which is a needle, drawing blood. You got to fill 2 canisters of blood. And he called me again. And I'm like, really? The oldest guy, the second oldest guy on the team, the guy who's least likely. I mean, if he's on some kind of drugs, he should get his money back, picked. So it was more funny than anything.
So you got randomly picked for drug testing and HGH blood work on the same day.
On the same day. And if I had any time, I would have gone and bought like a lottery ticket. But
yeah.
My lucky day.
I don't know. Matthew, I don't know if you're a conspiracy theorist here, but I don't know if this is random. I think there may be an axe that somebody's grinding here.
Well, I will say this. Andrew Luck got tested also. So, I mean, we were there together.
Matthew Hasselbeck joining me here on the Rich Eisen Show. So, I mean, it's year 17 for you. It's training camp. Is there part of you that's saying, why do I need to go through this? Because I've done this before. You sort of maybe skip this part of the test, Matthew, in a way?
No, not at all. And, the funny thing is it's actually year 18, Rich. My first year was on the practice squad with the Green Bay Packers. I was a 6th-round pick for the Packers, and they ended up keeping 4 quarterbacks that year. But obviously they don't need 4 quarterbacks in practice. So I ended up playing scout team tight end the whole season, 17 games, and blocking Reggie White, Santana Dotson every day in practice. So,
wow. So
compared to that training camp, I mean, this is nothing.
This is a walk in the park. When you were that scout guy, who did you imitate the best? When you were the scout team quarterback that you nailed?
I was just on all the running plays. I was just trying not to screw up the practice. That was my number one goal. But I remember I ran like an out and up, like a stick nod route on Leroy Butler one time, and for me it was like my Super Bowl. Here I am, I get to run a route against Leroy Butler. Like this is the highlight of my life, highlight of my football career. Yeah. And for him, it was just kind of like a walk through practice. And I caught it, and I might have gotten a first down or a touchdown, and I had a big smile on my face, and he kind of had some words for me, like wipe that smile off your face, So there was a fine line. You always wanted to be like sort of unsuccessful on the scout team when you're playing scout team tight end.
Yeah, so you didn't catch the ball and then do a Lambeau leap on him. In other words, you didn't.
In fact, I don't know if I ever had a vertical jump good enough to ever actually do a Lambeau leap. I thought about it often in my 3 years there. It's actually real low near the goalpost and real high near the pylon. But I always said, if I ever get the opportunity, I don't know if I can even get there. So that could be quite embarrassing.
And now it's interesting. Favre had his whole number retired there. And you were there, obviously, at the big, I guess, moment of his heyday when he was really right there in the sweet spot of his time with Green Bay. It's remarkable how time flies when you think about it, Matthew, right?
Yeah, it was awesome. I had a chance to go back to that, and I saw a lot of former teammates and a lot of former coaches, and just the amount of people that were there. It's a special organization, the Packers, and with their fans. I mean, I sat in about almost an hour of traffic trying to get to that game, really trying to get to that stadium. There wasn't even a game, but it felt like a game.
Right.
And it was an awesome thing. And obviously they're a team that is having a ton of success right now. They're a really, really good team. But they're a team that, for one night and one weekend, they kind of relive some of the stuff of the past. And it was awesome to be a part of.
How about you reliving some of the stuff with Holmgren when you chatted with him from maybe not only just the Green Bay days, but obviously the Seattle Super Bowl year that you guys had together?
Yeah, it's ironic. Yeah, so I think for both of us, we saw so many people from from our past with the Packers that we actually didn't even get to say hello to each other that night, at the event. And, that was probably one of my regrets. I mean, there was some awesome stuff. I mean, I had an hour-long conversation with Andy Reid and some of the coaches that are in Kansas City now that I had when I was with the Packers, and it was just, I loved it. But I was kind of bummed I didn't get to see Coach Holmgren. And on the flight out of town early the next morning, as fate would have it, I happened to be sitting right next to Mike Holmgren, and it was great. So we caught up and had a nice chat.
On the plane?
On the plane, yeah, it was great.
So what sort of flyer are you normally though, Matthew? Do you put the headsets on and you don't talk to the person to your ride? You act like you're reading when you really aren't reading? What sort of flyer normally are you?
To be honest with you, Rich, when I was flying without kids. I didn't even know what to do.
That's the greatest thing.
I didn't have three kids with me. I was confused.
That's like a vacation, isn't it?
Pretty amazing.
I've got Matthew Hasselbeck on the phone with me here on the Rich Eisen Show. Let's talk here and now. At the top of the show, we played a soundbite about Andrew Luck talking about his contract. The fact that, you're one of your successors in Seattle, there was so much hand-wringing over Russell Wilson's contract and whether that would get done. There's hardly anything talked about Andrew Luck's contract in Indianapolis. Why do you think that is, Matthew?
I think, he's all football all the time. I can't speak for him necessarily on this situation, but I know for me in my situation, I had a great relationship with my agent, and so I just trusted him with it, and I just got myself ready to play football. And it was always outside of my mind. There were a couple times when I was coming up on free agency with Seattle, and it allowed me to just go play football. I let him do his job, I'll do mine. And I think, I'm sure in Andrew's situation, he's got a similar situation where he's got a great relationship with whoever handles that for him, and he just goes out and worries about football. And I think he understands, with not just with this, but with all things, distractions don't help. And he's, everyone jokes about the flip phone and about, how he's not doing endorsements all over the place and that stuff. But that's really just who he is. I mean, he's not easily distracted. He sets goals and he gets after them. And I think that's why he's had so much success in his first few years here in the NFL.
Well, the expectation level for him, not just him, but the entire team now is kind of through the roof. It's at an all-time high of the post-Peyton era in Indianapolis. So how is that landing in your world, in your locker room right now, Matthew?
Yeah, again, I think like you're absolutely right. Outside our building, people are taking a guess and saying who they're going to see in Santa Clara. But in our building, we're really not focused on. I mean, our focus really is on our division. And I think Chuck Pagano does a great job here of kind of setting the mission, setting the focus, setting the mindset. And from day one since I got here, was just, hey, we're going to dominate this division. We're going to win the AFC South. That's our goal. That's our only goal. There's nothing past that goal. And now, obviously, once you clinch the division, he'll come in with a new goal for us to attain. But right now, you look at our division, we've had some success, but there's some teams in our division are getting better. They're getting more experience. We've got, good young quarterbacks in our division that are on the rise. Obviously, Houston has an amazing defense. And, we got to be ready to go. We got to be ready to bring it. And like I said, no distraction.
And what is it? Let's put it this way. How good is Andre Johnson? How much more does he have left? You see him. You see Frank Gore out there. There's a lot of additions, but Andre Johnson, that's the guy that a lot of people are looking at that could be potentially the difference maker if there's not that much tread on the tire there.
Yeah, for me, he just brings a level of professionalism and consistency to our room. We've got a room full of really, really talented young wide receivers. I mean, even T.Y. Hilton, he's our veteran guy. He's a young guy. So now you got Philip Dorsett and Dante Moncrief and T.Y. Hilton and even our young talented tight ends. To bring in a guy like Andre Johnson, just a pro. It's just great. And the same with Frank Gore. But at the same, so that's how I see it. But the fun answer to your question is if you're thinking about getting either one of those guys on your fantasy team, I would do it. Andre Johnson will it would shock me if he didn't have a great year.
Well, I mean, is Frank going to get the reps? I mean, Matthew, if you're giving fantasy tips out to me and the rest of the Rich Eisen Show universe, and I think universe is the proper word. I mean, how many reps is Frank going to get the reps? Matthew?
Well, I'll say this. I think I heard this stat yesterday in one of our meetings. We led the league in plays last year. So, I don't know what that means. I have no idea. But that means there's more footballs to go around if we're running more plays.
Okay. And what do you think of Luck's DirecTV commercial with the cats, Matthew?
Fantastic. Fantastic, actually. I don't think people get to see that side of him. He's pretty buttoned up, and he's very serious, and he's all about football. But he's a human being. He's got a great personality. He's actually really funny. He's obviously very smart and reads a lot. He's a huge soccer fan, and he's into things that typical American football players aren't into. But he's funny. He's got a great personality, and I love the commercial. I can't wait to see a couple more.
And does he still have the flip phone? Does he still have the flip phone?
He does. I can break this news to you, Rich. It's a new flip phone.
What?
But it's the exact same model. You know how in the old flip phones you had to slide that the cover over the big battery?
Sure. Yeah.
He went about most of the season last year with no cover on the battery. I mean,
it's an embarrassment.
Seriously.
He's the face of a franchise, for crying out loud.
So we got a new one.
But how do you get a new flip phone? That's like getting a new Walkman. Where do you find one? I don't know.
They exist.
Who sells them?
They exist.
All right. Well, listen.
It's actually frustrating as a friend. You try to forward them a picture or something. You can't open it. There's no technology that can open
That's crazy.
A text message.
That's crazy.
Photo.
All right. Well, Matthew, I appreciate you calling in. You're a 39-year-old man living in a dorm, so I understand that it's intriguing times for you right now in training camp.
It's like a reunion, but I'm the only one back at college.
Yeah, I mean, is it like a dorm where you've got to take all your toiletries to a common bathroom down the hall?
Yeah.
Really?
Oh, yeah. And it's actually I think it's a girls' dorm. Because the bathrooms are really clean and there's no urinal. So I'm pretty sure it's a girls' dorm.
I mean, you're a 39-year-old man, married man, father of three.
I've got a great corner, though. I'm wearing a quiet corner in the basement of the dorm.
Okay.
Next to me, I'm in between Andre Johnson and Robert Mathis. Across the hall is Adam Vinatieri. I mean, I'm surrounded by Hall of Famers. It's awesome. I'm having a blast.
You're in the adult section, is what you're saying.
Yeah, we are. There's no video games on my floor.
Okay,
it's a little more boring. You want to play Madden? You got to go upstairs. Kids are.
You're playing Space Invaders or something like that. Essentially, what you're doing.
We're watching I don't know, Bloomberg.
Matthew, thanks for calling in. We'll chat again soon, hopefully. Okay,
all right, guys.
You bet.
See you soon.
That's Matthew Hasselbeck, the one and only Matt Hasselbeck here on the Rich Eisen Show. He is the best. Love that guy. Love that guy. And you, sir, you're like the missing Hasselbeck brother.
I'm an honorary Hasselbeck
You've
brother.
got the Hasselbeckian
That's true.
look to you. You went to the ESPYs years ago, post-party with him, right?
I went to an after party with Matt and his two other brothers, and his younger brother Nathaniel and I convinced Sage Steele that I was the fourth brother, and she got so mad at Nathaniel because he had never told her this before, that they had another brother.
Oh.
And after 5 minutes, we just had to go. Sage is the nicest woman ever.
Yes.
We were just like, sorry, look, Sage, we're kidding. I'm sorry. We can't let this go on anymore. We're just joking.
Fantastic.
What would you have to do to go into a dorm and live in that situation?
I don't know.
If you had
make as much money as Matthew for playing a sport that you love.
If management was like, hey, for game day morning this year, we're going to get the guys all together, a camaraderie, a team building, like a boot camp for a week, and you with Dion next to you and Irv down the hall.
I can't even imagine that.
I mean, that could be scary.
But this sounds like a game day morning commercial campaign. Is what it sounds like. Let's not plant that seed.
2016.
I am done with dorms. Done. Don't go anywhere. We have so much more to come here on this program. Rod Carew, for crying out loud. Speaking of being surrounded by Hall of Famers, it is the 30th anniversary of his 3,000th hit.
Wow.
Today. I didn't mean to give away the,
it's okay.
As you know,
this day has layers to it, so there's a little more to it.
This day in history has more layers.
There's a little layer to it. Something else happened that day.
Very, very good. That's still to come here on The Rich Eisen Show.